Today we're going to be giving our predictions for UFC 294, Alaxander Volkanovski versus Kamaru, Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. Woo! I am feeling absolutely hyped today. I've been doing a reconfiguration in my own gym. I know in about 30 minutes I'm about to crash, so we need to get this predictions video in. I'm not going to do the whole card, we're just going to talk about the top 3 fights, because I'll be honest, although I know the other fighters on the card and I've seen the fights, it's just not fresh enough in my memory right now to remember and recite off the top of my head all the fights and predictions. So we'll go with the top 3 fights. This card isn't really that stacked anyway. It's thinner than me after 10 months of not training. Absolute skinny fat bastard I am. But before we make the predictions, we need to see the face-offs, because we know that plays into how the fight's going to go down. Because if one fighter didn't look in the other fighter's eyes, that must mean that he's scared. Oh, this professional fighter who's had 30 fights is scared of another professional fighter. I hate that narrative. We've got to admit that the weigh-ins do tell us a little bit about the confidence of each individual fighter. How do they look? Are they showing up in shape? Are they shredded, or are they looking a little bit puffy and soft? So first off, let's look at the Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev intense final face-off. Looking forward to this one. Let's see what goes down. Okay, we've got Johnny Walker as well. We'll predict this fight too.
205, the official weight for Johnny Walker.
The Makachev coming in with absolute amazing audio once again.
And his opponent, the number 2 ranked light heavyweight contender, Magomed Ankalaev.
How hard is it to get good audio? Just make sure it's not me. The Makachev, come on, boys. We'll watch the weigh-in and the face-off and then go through the predictions. So we've got Johnny Walker versus Magomed Ankalaev. Who's going to win this one? Now, this is an interesting fight because Magomed Ankalaev coming off a draw decision to Jan Blachowicz. Let's actually pull up his stats right here so we can see. Now, the only thing with this is his last fight was this Blachowicz fight, and that was December 2022. He hasn't fought in almost a year. And in all honesty, that fight, it was a little bit lackluster. They cancelled each other out almost. Now, what Magomed does really good at is he's got a really good right hook. He's got pretty decent striking. That right hook has knocked out a few people though. And he's got good head kicks. I can't remember who it was who he knocked out with. I'm sure it was a front kick knockout. And he's overall just got good head kicks. He's got good flexibility, good dexterity in his legs. You think because his name is Magomed and he's got the Russian neckbeard that he would just take people down. But if you actually look at all his wins here, it's TKO punches, unanimous decision there, decision, unanimous. We got KO punches, KO head kicks and punches, KO front kick, decision, TKO, head kick and punches, KO punches, KO punches, TKO punches. Pretty much all of his finishes and all of his wins since October 2016 have come in the way of punches. Now, his last few wins have been by decision. Okay, he won against Anthony Smith, TKO punches, which isn't hard to do, really. Anthony Smith is not that great anymore. Okay, he's a decent fighter. And I'm not saying, oh, I could beat up Anthony Smith. I hate when people say that. Oh, well, I'd like to see you get in there and try. I'm talking about in the realms of the UFC caliber. But before that, he had 3 decision wins. Right, now let's contrast that to Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker hit a little bit of a skid, lost, and then he won one, and then he lost, and then he lost. So his last loss was in February 2022. Now, since September 2022, Johnny Walker has fought 3 times and won. He got a submission, rear naked choke against Kutilaba, and then he got a TKO in punches, and then a decision, unanimous decision. So he's had 3 fights, 3 wins, and 2 finishes in the last 12 months, whereas Magomed Ankalaev has only had 1 fight, and it was a draw, and he didn't look too great in that fight. I would have initially went with Magomed in this fight, but Johnny Walker looks like he's improved. He's now with SGB Ireland, so what's his name again? John Kavanagh. He's there, which, in all honesty, I don't think is a great gym to be fighting from. who's came from there that's really made it into the top ranks. You've got McGregor, obviously. We've got a few others on the come up and all that. It just seems like they don't do well from that gym. But Johnny Walker, it seems like he's cleaned up a lot of his strikes since going there. He's got that wild side, but it seems like he's got a lot better fundamentals now. He's not doing as much wild stuff, but he's got it in the bag. I'm actually going to take Johnny Walker to win this fight. Now, how do I reckon he's going to do it? I'm not too sure. What's my gut instinct, Sean? How is Johnny Walker going to win this fight? I'm just going to go with, I think Magomed he's quite tough. Can I see Johnny Walker knocking him out? Probably not. He might catch him with something crazy. He might do like a cartwheel kick or a crazy spinning kick and knock him out. But I'm going to say Johnny Walker by decision in this one, just because I'm banking on Magomed being quite tough in this fight. So let's go Johnny Walker by decision. Next fight up the card, we've got Kamaru, Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. Oh, this is interesting, man. This is really interesting. Usman is on a 2-fight losing streak. It's at middleweight. Khamzat is 12-0, just riding that confidence, saying that he's the champion, he's the real champ. He's beat up all these champions in sparring. Khamzat is looking pretty unbeatable. Granted, we haven't really seen him in that many fights. How many fights he had in the UFC? Is it 4? My bad. It's actually 6 fights. Wow, that's crazy. It's just because, obviously, when was his last fight? It was September 2022. He's been a little bit inactive this last... Yeah, because he had 2 fights in 2022. He's had none in 2023. And his last fight before that was in October 2021. So a little bit inactive. That's why it feels like he hasn't had that many fights. But he's riding high. Who've we got? Obviously, Kevin Holland. He ragdolled Kevin Holland. I thought Kevin Holland done quite well at defending. He was rolling, he was scrambling against Khamzat, but Khamzat was just too powerful, too strong. I think Usman is going to do a lot better than Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland he's not like a strong grappler, he's not like a strong wrestler. He's a good BJJ fighter, so he's got good submissions. He's very wiry, he's very long, but he's not like a wrestler, which Usman is. And I think Usman will do a lot better at defending takedowns in this fight. So let's load up Usman's stats. Obviously, he's got his last 2 losses against Leon Edwards. And then I was saying in yesterday's video that if you look at Kamaru Usman's wins, they're all against former lightweights, or they are just small welterweights. Colby Covington isn't a big welterweight. Jorge Masvidal fights at 170, but he's still got a little bit of body fat on him. If you ever just take a look at him in the cage, you'll see he's lean, but he's not shredded. So I think Jorge could still make 155. Now, granted, it would be a little bit of a tough cut. We all fill out when we hit our mid-30s a little bit more, so. But he could definitely make 155. Gilbert Burns, former 155er. He's a blown-up lightweight, essentially. Obviously, he's got a thick neck. He's got a big head. He's got the head for welterweight, but he's got the frame for lightweight. Who were we talking about that the other day? Saying the head size matters. Oh, Dylan Dennis. We were actually saying Dylan Dennis has got the head of a welterweight, but the physique and the build of a lightweight. And then obviously it was Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington, Tyron Woodley, and Rafael dos Anjos. So all smaller fighters.
185.5.
Khamzat still looks... How did he make 170? That's crazy. No, well, his last fight, he didn't make it, did he? Or one of his last fights, yeah. He didn't make the weight, but he's still fairly lean. What's that, about 10% body fat? At 185, he looks good.
The official weight for Khamzat Chimaev.
Yeah. I'm always intrigued into when fighters are coming up in a weight class because usually they do look a little bit more puffy. They're carrying a lot of body fat still, and you can just tell that they shouldn't be at that weight. Khamzat should be at 185. This is his weight class.
And his opponent, the former UFC welterweight champion of the world, Kamaru, the Nigerian.
Let's see how Kamaru looks now, because obviously he usually fights at 170. He's usually shredded at 172, so it'd be interesting to see if he's still got that leanness.
$184.5, the official weight for...
Okay, let's pause it right there. Yeah, obviously, he's a little bit softer. He hasn't got that shredded physique. Sorry, I just had someone message me then. Yeah, he hasn't got that super
shred
going on. But looks good.
84.5, the official weight for Kamaru Usman.
If this was, let's just assume that Kamaru Usman had never fought at welterweight before, and this is the first time we're seeing him a middleweight. You'd look at his physique and you'd be like, yeah, he's a middleweight. He shouldn't really look small for this weight class. Let's see what he looks like standing next to Khamzat now. sense. Khamzat's obviously got the height advantage. I can't tell if Khamzat has a massive head or it's just that neck beard making his head look massive. Like, look at that. Is it me? Is he actually taller? Or is his head just that much bigger? Which obviously would mean he's taller, but you get me point. You got a big fat head. Look, the professional fighters, but you can't deny they both look confident there. Take it back to that stare down. Usman doesn't look nervous. Of course, they're always going into this fight nervous, but don't lie and say, oh, Usman looks nervous. No, look at him, he looks scared. Usman looks confident here. He's not going into this fight thinking that he's going to lose. But look at Khamzat too. Look, see a little, at the end, little glare into Usman's soul. They both look confident. Like, you can't really take much from this. Are they going to do an interview? Don't think so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that's it. So the question is how is Usman going to show up? 1, at middleweight, but 2, following the losses after the Leon Edwards fights. This is the thing with MMA. It's why I love the sport so much, is anything can happen. Look at the last few events. People are winning who should not be winning. Everyone would count. Let's look at Sean Strickland once again. No one thought Sean Strickland was going to win. And look what he did. He dominated Israel Adesanya when Israel was pretty much in his prime, if you like. Like, it's just so hard to predict. But once again, I'm trying not to go emotional. Like, if I really had to choose who I want to win this Usman fight, I've got no preference, in all honesty. I like to talk about marketability as well. I usually want the more marketable fighter to win because it just makes for more excitement. I'm not a massive Israel Adesanya fan in terms of how he fights. Sometimes he fights absolutely fantastic, but it's more so the fact that he's very marketable. That's what I like, because it's very easy to get behind them then and root for them, or you can at least understand their success. So who's more marketable in this case, Usman or Khamzat? Khamzat can't talk to save his life. He's kind of got that Islam Makachev and Khabib personality. Yes, brother. Yes, we go kill them. We kill them. We do this, brother. Yeah, no one beat me, brother. Like, there's not much to him, but you kind of love and admire the confidence. He's got a subtle personality about him. Usman is just, he's got that cringe factor, hasn't he? He is a little bit cringy. You can tell that he's not a natural wordsmith. But if he had to pick who I want to win this fight, I'd maybe go with Khamzat, just because I think he's going to be a little bit more marketable. He brings a little bit more excitement to the division. Now, who do I think is going to win this fight? Once again, we want to go logically. I think Khamzat is going to get this fight because he's 12-0. Okay, he had a little bit of a stumble against Gilbert Burns. He might have been underestimating Gilbert Burns in that fight, to be honest, because he was thinking he was going to steamroll over everyone. Straight from the game plan, even as coach said, why didn't you just take him down? He wanted to go in there and stand and bang. But I think if he goes in there and fights his game plan and tries to take Usman down, I can't see Usman getting up with those dodgy knees. We spoke about it in yesterday's video. Kamaru Usman seems like he needs to support himself on his knees when his knees are in full flexion. So that's when his knees are fully bent. He's okay when he's standing up and he's moving around. He can stay light on his toes, but yeah, it seems like he's got no strength in them when they're fully flexed, which means that if he gets taken down, it's going to be very difficult for him to generate strength with his muscles and his tendons and his ligaments in that fully stretched range. A little bit of sports science for you there. So I can personally see Khamzat putting the pressure on. I think Kamaru, you can tell I've had a long day, defends for the first round. I think he defends, he hangs in there, and then I could maybe see Khamzat getting a TKO or a KO stoppage in the second with his hands. That's what I'm going to go with. The logical brain is saying no, he's going to get a submission, but he's going to get a decision just by holding him down, beating him up, ground and pound him. But I'm liking Khamzat's confidence. I think he's going in there with a point to prove. He's been striking with Darren Till the last 12 months. He's been sparring with killers. He's been sparring with Sean Strickland a lot. I think he's going to go in there as a better fighter than we've seen him previously, with sharper hands. He's still going to have that aggression, but he's going to be a lot more polished on his feet. So I think Khamzat to win, but if I had to say specifically, by second round stoppage. Comment down below what you guys think. Next, let's see the face-off for Islam and Volk. Here he is.
154 and a half.
Okay, let's take a look at him.
The official weight.
So you can definitely tell that he looks a little bit softer than he did when he fought Makachev the first time, but that's not That's just because he hasn't had a camp. He hasn't had a fight camp. He was coming off elbow surgery. Which one was it? Was it his left? He's probably only been training for the last 3 or 4 weeks. In his mind, he's thinking Ilia Topuria in January. That's what he was prepping for, like a 145-pound fighter in the featherweight division. Now, all of a sudden, 14 days notice, or 12 days notice, he hasn't had the chance to pack on muscle properly. He hasn't had the chance to do a proper strength and conditioning camp alongside his regular camp. So he's going to come in a little bit softer. We can't judge him for this. He's a top G for stepping in on late notice like this. Let's see.
Volkanovski.
Let's go, Volk.
And his opponent, the reigning, defending, undisputed UFC lightweight champion of the world, Islam Makachev.
Let's go, brother. Let's go, brother.
Official weight 155 for the champion, Islam Makachev.
We know the shape Islam's going to come in. He's always in great shape. Okay, let's see. One thing I like about these two is there's that mutual respect. They understand that they're both killers, but they'll stand there and do the face-off, nod at each other, look in each other's eyes. They know neither is scared of the other. They'll have a little bit of a back and forth. They'll shake hands, and it's pure respect. This is what I love to see. I love the fireworks, and I love the explosivity, the explosiveness of fight build-ups, but I also like seeing the respect as well because they know that they're not underestimating each other this time.
All right, we step over here. We will first grab a minute with the UFC featherweight champion, Alexander Volkanovski. You are that guy. You have stepped up in a major way. The weight cut is now behind you. How do you feel about tomorrow night, sir?
Mate, I feel great. This is going to be incredible. Obviously, February last year, one of the greatest fights there was, and now it's round 6. So everyone's in for a treat. Let's get it.
Absolute legend. Can't wait to watch it. How about it, folks? Alexander Volkanovski. All right, and now we grab a moment with the man around whom this fight card was built. The man many of you have come to see, Islam Makachev. Any thoughts on the eve of your second championship title defense?
Abu Dhabi, good to see you again. Tomorrow I will show you best performance. Thank you. Thank you all of you guys because I know you all support me. Thanks so much.
All the best tomorrow night, sir. There he is.
So, okay, who's going to win this? Being logical. Yeah, I want Alexander Volkanovski to win. I do want him to win. When I say that, people go, why? What's your problem with Islam? Why have you got a problem with Islam? Why do you want him to lose? Because he's not that marketable. And it's very difficult to get behind him because that style, not that it's boring, it's just not as exciting as the striking side of things. Striking will always be more exciting than the grappling. Now, there's very exciting grappling, of course, and Khabib has got that. Islam has also got that exciting grappling style. Charles Oliveira has got that exciting grappling style. But the majority of people would still rather see the striking. It was just me bread and butter. So I'm always going to have a natural bias to wanting the striker to win. Now, that being said, is that going to happen? Is Volk, the striker, going to be able to beat Islam? Well, we know that Volk doesn't really get any finishes. He usually dominates people from round 1 to round 5. Like, is he going to be able to do that with Islam this time? Coming off no camp, he's not going to have the same levels of cardio. I think his cardio will be fine, but he's just not going to have that ability to push the pace. And when you are the smaller man, you need to push the pace. Whereas this time, I think what we're going to see is Islam pushing the pace because he's had a full fight camp. He's going to know that Volk is coming in on a short camp. Can I see Islam beating Volk by a knockout or a submission? I don't know. I'm gonna put my faith in Volk here and say that I think Volk is tough enough to last the full 5 rounds, and I think Islam will win by another decision. I think the probability and potential is definitely there for Islam to finish this fight, just because it's completely different circumstances this time. Anyway, I think the logical decision, Islam by decision. That's what I'm going to take. If I was allowed to give a secondary prediction, I'd go Islam by 3rd round, rear naked choke. Volk has got a really good chin. I can't really see Islam knocking out or TKOing Volk, but hey, I could be wrong, and that is the beauty of MMA. What do you guys think? How is this fight going to go down? Some of you guys in the comments on yesterday's video have said, oh, Volkanovski or Islam, but give me a specific prediction. If you had to be really specific with your prediction, what would you go with? Is it going to be Islam by choke or knockout? Is it going to be Volk by decision? Let's be a little bit more specific here. I'm super excited for this fight. I'm going to be watching it early Sunday morning, and yeah, I'll do a recap video on Sunday. Appreciate all the love and support. Make sure you like this video. We got some fun videos coming next week, so stay tuned, and I'll see you all tomorrow.